Hello, country changers. Welcome to another feature month. This month we are featuring Leeton. And with us, we are joined by Craig Tyrrell from McGrath Real Estate. Hi, Craig. How are you?
Hey, Laticia, how are you?
I'm great. And look, I'm always excited to talk property because I think it's a hot topic across the nation. Obviously, it has been for some time, particularly since COVID. So I thought, first up, let's get a little bit of an insight around Leeton and what's happening in the market, um, potentially what's happened over the past 12 months and where we're at now.
So the last 12 months, I might go back to COVID in particular. We saw, obviously, right across the New South Wales regional areas, a very steep increase in property prices, particularly here in Leeton. So over 18 months to 2 years after COVID, we saw most properties from residential lifestyle to commercial go up by about 40%, which obviously previous years prior to that was pretty unprecedented. So it was really due to supply and demand and interest rates and inflation and things like that. We saw a lot of common trends with people who had ties to the area, obviously post-COVID, wanted to be closer to family and things like that, sort of moving away from the metro areas and South Coast and areas like that and coming home just to be with parents and kids and things like that. So that was really a supply and demand issue. So we saw property prices increase quite substantially. Obviously, economic factors involved in that with inflation and interest rates and things like that. Now, last year we probably saw it slow down quite a lot. That was mainly due to uncertainty with interest rates again and inflation. We're sort of back on trend at the moment. So we've stabilised a little bit. There's been a little bit of talk this week about what interest rates might do today, and then come up until Christmas and things like that. But we're kind of back to a normal market, really. So Leeton, it really comes down to supply and demand. We've got a lot of demand for property in the area, which is seeing our prices stable. So a lot of that talk around post-COVID, what we saw a lot of talk about property prices dropping and things like that. We actually saw the opposite. But they're holding steady across sort of, there's a really high demand for investment properties, just due to the rental demand here at the moment. But we're holding pretty strong at the moment.
Okay, so could we put that in context for some people? Obviously, for people who are coming or researching from Sydney, Canberra, Brisbane, whatever capital city, what are we looking at as a median house price, say for a 3-bedroom house in sort of the urban area?
Look, generally across the board, it's around $400,000 a median house price. For your bigger, so there's going to be a few factors that influence that, obviously, with units as opposed to lifestyle blocks and your larger builds around the place. But we talk about the town circle in Leeton, which is basically the CBD. You're looking at $400,000 to $500,000 for quite a comfortable 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. But median across the board is around $400,000 here in Leeton.
Just on that, if you could just list some, because you've got such a diverse range, people don't often think that you could get an apartment in a country area, but you've also just touched on that, yes, these are options. Do you mind walking through the list of that diversity sort of stock range?
Yeah, look, we deal with everything. So I and my colleagues here, we deal with all types of property, everything from large-scale rural properties to units in town. So we actually have quite a high demand for units in town because we've got such a high demand for jobs in the area. So we have a lot of local nurses, teachers, people like that who might come out and do 12, 24 months in the area, who may not want a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house to maintain if they're by themselves. So the units, you're looking at around 300,000 for probably a two-bedroom unit in the town circle here. But look, there's a range of property in the area. Lifestyle blocks and small acreages are probably the most demand at the moment. Most families will send a lot of equity if they've purchased a property around that COVID time, are looking to upscale a little bit and have a bit more of a comfortable house for the kids and a bit more room to run around. But we sell everything. So we've got everything from 1-bedroom units to huge farms.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
In terms of the investment aspect, what kind of rental yields can people expect?
Most people are aiming for, most of our investors, you're probably aiming for around 6% gross is good. We're sort of past the days where it was, looking at 10% and things like that. But if you can get anything over 5 to 6% gross, is pretty good at the moment. And you'll find, because the rental demand here is so high, most properties are positively geared. Negative gearing is probably a thing of the past here in Leeton. Rental demand is very high, so we're seeing very high upward trends in regards to median rental prices in town.
Yeah, look, and I think that's really interesting to factor in, because people are just so used to properties being negatively geared, but relying on that capital gains. And if people are looking into relocating to the region, which our market obviously is interested in that, what kind of lead time can people expect? Are you suggesting people get on wait lists for rentals if they're wanting to explore, or if they're interested in buying, to come and spend a week organising inspections? What's your advice there for country changes?
I think, look, for most people, I think if Leeton's popped up on their radar for a country change, it's generally due to employment. There's a huge demand for employment across the region out here at the moment. So there's a few things that sort of factor in that with post-COVID and all that sort of thing. But we've got a lot of industry and agriculture out here. So the whole town's built around agriculture. It's massive business out here. So we've got a high demand for everything from unskilled labour work to management positions, and then the public sector with health and all that sort of thing that goes along with it. So yeah, if you're looking for a rental, get on a rental list. We can have up to 40 applicants for a single rental in town. At any one time, there's probably less than, I'd say, 10 rentals available at any one time in town. And that's across everything from units to, the bigger houses that we might see. But no, come and have a look and try it. I mean, Leeton's a really tight-knit community. We've got a lot of events and things that happen here. Schools are great. And obviously you want to do your research, but I think a lot of people that are looking at a trade change are probably looking at relocating due to employment.
Yeah,
it's still off of the town. We're quite close to Griffith and Wagga and places like that as well that aren't too far to commute as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just sharing the screen now with the viewers of the Country Change Leeton Shire Council page, where people can come and find out a little bit about the town. It's got this beautiful, beautiful Art Deco historical aspect to the architecture, and that's all throughout town. But as you said, we've got a lot of modern facilities and a lot of modern housing options with apartments, etc. But outside of Leeton, you've got other little communities like Yanco and Whitten. I think Whitten's been put on the map with the Whitten Malt House. Yeah, that's definitely been a big tourism draw card. But people can also get in touch with council for a bit more information there also. And then we've also got a little bit of information there on housing distances to city in terms of accessibility via road and the drive times, which can be handy for people. And what needs to be said, and I think we probably say this every webinar, is that the distance and the drive time very rarely change. It's not like unless you hit traffic at the other end of the city.
No, it doesn't change.
Yeah,
no.
It's just you can get from A to B and know how long it's going to take you, which is not something you can say for the city. And then we've got those industries and opportunities that you touched on as well for people to dive a little bit more into, as well as setting up a business, education, what schooling options are around. For you, both as a local and as a real estate agent, what do you think are the major draw cards for Leeton?
Look, as I touched on, employment's a big one at the moment, just because we've got that high demand due to the industries that are here, so agriculture, manufacturing, food processing, and then the public sector that I spoke about. But so for myself, I grew up here, or a lot of my family's here. We moved away for a little bit, and then once we had kids, this is where we wanted to bring them up. Just because it's not too small. You've got a lot of the amenities and things that you want. It's not an inconvenience type of thing, but it's a very good community. It's very, very tight little community here. There's, like I mentioned before, there's they have a lot of community events here, from the Sunrise Festival every Easter to ballooning events, sporting events. There's quite a lot to do throughout the year. Sport's big. There's a lot of sport that's played around the place, and the schools are great too. So there's a few options with the schools too. So you've got it's not like some of those smaller community towns where you've just got the one option. We've got private, we've got public, we've got boarding schools. It's a great place for a family in particular. But yeah, it's just a good little spot to live.
Yeah, absolutely. So any other words of advice you'd offer someone who's interested in making a tree change to Leeton Shire?
Call me if you want to buy. No, look, it's just obviously do your homework, but I think in regards to rural towns, obviously this is a great little one. We're pretty hardy in the sense that we're quite lucky. We're part of the Murrumbidgee irrigation scheme, and that's why we've got so much agricultural industry here. So the demand for employment is, unless we're in really hard times of drought, there's a lot of stable employment here, and we're not too far, like I said, from Griffith, which is only a 40-minute commute, and as you said, it's always 40 minutes. There's no traffic, and Wagga's only 120 k's down the road as well. But I think people will find, in comparison to maybe some other country towns and things like that, there's a lot of convenience here and quite a lot to do, and the town's got a lot to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a lovely little town and some beautiful little shops. So I can definitely vouch for that. So thank you so much. And like I said, if anyone needs any more information for real estate, obviously head to McGrath, check out the stock that they've got, and get in touch with Craig. But you can also go to the Country Change page, countrychange.com.au, and find out a little bit more about Leeton, and reach out to someone from our team to find out how to make that tree change possible. So thank you, Craig, so much for your time.
No worries. Thanks, Laticia.